Arthur?
Don't ask me questions I can't answer.
Well, I've been handed a shit deal, boy. I'm doomed. Arthur, you know that game you and Joe Jarris played, Tag War? How you play it?
Teg War? You don't know how to play Teg War? Spell it. T-E-G-W-A-R. Stands for the exciting game without any rules.
T-E-G-W-A-R. No rules. No rules at all?
I'm not too sure I'm understanding this game.
You might never.
Throw down in the middle, sir.
Why? Nobody else threw down in the middle.
It's your fish fly card.
How can you tell?
It's the rules.
What kind of rules are on?
What rules? I haven't been noticing any rules. They seem to keep changing.
5 and 6 or 11, that's why.
Attaboy, Bruce.
Rules concerning what?
The rules of arithmetic.
I wouldn't play this game for money, I can tell you.
Don't be discouraged.
Don't be discouraged.
See, it was no double birdie.
Double birdie?
Whereas for it could have been a spread eagle.
Probably you've been playing Southeastern Teg War all your life. But in the majors, the boys all play Western Canadian style, which, from my money, is much faster. And leaves you free for a butchered hog most any time.
Whereas what?
Whereas it keeps you from dropping dead on the board.
Well, they're okay.
Hi. Hi, Bruce.
Holly, belated to see you. Here's a real pleasure.
Thank you.
My son's talked a whole lot about you.
Wonders never cease.
I would go to 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 30 seconds.
1 hour 20.
Well, I looked at it before and I wrote it down. It's on that little piece of paper that's stuck in the...
1 hour 4, 1 hour 11.
And then you're watching games.
12.
Yeah, 1:20:33. So add it into the game.
It was a club.
You all right? Yeah. Oh, they're a great bunch of boys. They always was.
There it is.
Put a card there. All right. Joe, you up?
Yeah, I'm betting right now. I want $5 more. I'm putting in 5.
Well, what are you betting on?
5. I'll tell you after you put in 5.
And I'm going to raise you 2.
Okay, what are you
Raise me
holding?
two.
I'm going to raise 2.
Joe,
All right, you can raise.
You owe
2
2.
and 2 bet. And 2 bet.
I'll raise you 2.
Hey, you're not putting in any
What
money.
are you holding, Joe?
$6.
What are you holding?
I got it.
It's a game. What are you holding?
No. I want to see this money.
I just raised 2, though.
I can't play. Let's put in the money.
He's got to put
Put in another $3 there. That's it. 3 more. There it is. Jack and a 3, and it's all
Jack.
mine.
Wait a
Hey, wait a second. I haven't even got my hand out.
No good.
Wait a minute. We got to split. We got to run right through the 10.
Can you beat a Coney Island Tatey?
What about this double ace deucer?
I wish you a lot of luck with it.
It was a club like it should have been all year, but never was, but all of a sudden become. We begun to pull ahead.
There are some other scenes in there, but the opening scene with the credits sort of sets the, and we're not going to take a look at that, but why don't we just turn it off and get back to this? So you see that it's the person who can come up with some sort of explanation, okay? Probably getting, drawing from so many repertoires out there of rules out of other games, or something.
Well, in that first scene, right, the first rule is from fishing.
Yeah.
And then you hear a bird tweet, and he goes, it's the birdie rule. right? So it's whatever. I mean, it really is.
Right off of your, your local environment, what's going on. The scene in the courtroom for the differ end is much longer and beautifully developed, quite powerful. Okay, while we were waiting for this to be put together and ready to work, we were dealing with some issues and questions. So where are you now? That was my question. Yes, please.
You know how sometimes people get accusatory, and I do the same too as a human being?
Yeah.
I follow a bandwagon or a slogan and lose myself. Like, for example, I felt that way about the indices, and even though I worked in that sector, but then I realized it's a job. And, you know, I'm just watching the Washington people, and I know it's a, like, for example, the Treasury is a private thing, and they're like, I just was watching the news and the Post, and the guy's like, you wrote SHITYLO at loans. And so if we just have like this skeleton of how our economy, and we've seen it from the 30s, and we've seen it from the 80s and the 90s, and so I don't see, before I did see something wrong with it because I was told on a different bandwagon, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I better keep my mouth shut or else I'm not going to have another job again.
Yeah. What does the economy mean? What is said to elementary, middle school kids? What's the one word for it?
Money?
Distribution. Exchange of goods and services.
Exchange resources. These are words that you usually find in textbooks. Our resources. And so then the question becomes, how much control do we have over our resources? When you factor in a whole series of things, just human motives, greed, for example. We talk about that a lot, and we think that has a lot to do with the market and so on. Okay? But it's also, and then it's explained that it's wilder than you could ever believe now than it was before, because we're a global market. So if something happened bad here, it might affect those people in other countries that have, by here I mean in the U.S., bought up a lot of our money or stocks or have done business with it or whatever. But notice what's happening is just like a series of architectonic plates just shifting around through Asia, okay, through Europe and through the Americas, okay, and in the Pacific, okay, that entire Australia and so on. So it's become multiplied, greatly multiplied. But this is the question. Oh, and then there were some glitches. We think computer programming glitches. Okay. So you have to. The big question in the background is resources. All of this energy. Let's talk about it in terms of energy. Are we a function of it, or is it a function of us? Or is there a kind of reciprocity, or should be a reciprocity between the two? The big question, you know, in terms of what Lyotard is talking about is, if you simply take logos, language, and reason, and law, and so on, okay, you have to ask the question of, what is my relationship with it? When I sit down to write, when I attempt to speak, when I attempt to think, whatever it is, how do I approach it? How do I use these resources? Okay.
Well, in terms of energy and stuff, my research, because it's central to what my research is, there's a lot of what I think really good thinking going right now that says it's very much opposite what one would think, in that, in fact, our access to energy and resources actually is much more determinant of not only the scale of our civilization, but also the quality inherent to that civilization. And there's basically a division into three different kinds of wealth. There's fundamental wealth, which is like material, like oil, tin.
Okay,
whatever.
a lot of this now is political economy. Okay.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is political economy.
But it goes up.
And- yeah,
There's a second level, which is the
And we think that we can, play around with that. And it makes sense to us, okay? And sometimes it works. But is there anything in political economy that takes consideration of a libidinal economy? The only thing I can think of that attempts to control the flow of the libidinal resources is advertising.
exactly.
Because most of them are set up in terms of particular sorts. I mean, you have people in marketing who have degrees in psychology and so on, even in cultural studies, to use what they've learned in cultural studies against what they learned in cultural studies. Okay? I mean, that's what cynicism is all about. I'm sorry.
Well, there's other approaches. One is, for want of a better word, I would call it the yeast understanding, which is that humans are little better than, yeast, and that they found an enormous energy resource, and all biological systems will, as far as we know, will automatically eat all energy resources and go into a die-off. And they've even tested it with like deer on St. Matthew's Island in Alaska. This is just what any biological organism will do. And we as humans found this enormous, vast, huge quantity of energy resources in the form of oil and charted it. Found, commercial oil, 1859, right out there, boom, population exploded. So it's just following the same pattern as any other biological organism. And that fundamental thing you could call libidinal because it's all based on reproduction. So that's kind of like your libidinal economy right up in your face. It's like, yeah, fuck, make babies, make more babies. There's lots of energy. Who cares? Build a bigger society. Who cares? Just keep on burning up that energy with no thought to tomorrow. And the problem is you get into the problems of anticipation and the inability to do it because we're not built to natively understand exponential growth. If this room filled up with marbles in 25 days, it's only going to be half full on the 24th day if you're doubling every day. So it's only going to be a quarter full 2 days before it ends. So if you're dealing with exponential growth rates, if things are getting kind of tight, it's way later than you think. And so but this is also built in because otherwise you wouldn't have the libidinal energy of sheer reproduction wouldn't do its job. So it's kind of like that. That's one, at least from my research, that's one approach to that. Does that jive with what you're thinking or understanding?
Yeah. Let's take a look at this here. The difference between a descriptive and a prescriptive. And I wrote through it, canceling it out, given the statement here. Okay. A descriptive is of an ideal society, let's say. This is a for example. You could put anything else in the slide.
Right.
Is of an ideal society. And so we go to Plato historically. We go to Marx as well historically, okay, and a number of other people, people who have engaged in utopian thinking, spelled U-T-O-P, or utopian thinking, spelled E-U, utopian. Okay. The first one means nowhere, right? No place. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the EU in Greek, the prefix signals what?
Happy.
Happy, yes. A happiness. A great good place. Okay. The notion that you find in the Renaissance. Almost prelapsarian. That is before